welcome back to Writer's Block. This week I thought I would try and do a reading vlog. I'm not sure how it's going to turn out. It might be really boring, it might be fine. If this works out, I'll probably do it more. It'll probably be an easier way to do reviews as I'm reviewing it as I'm reading it, so I actually keep my thoughts fresh in my head. There is 3 books that I definitely need to read this week, which are Siege and Storm by Levi Dugo, Havenfall by Sarah Holland, and Ancillary Justice by Anne Leckie.
I don't remember what happened last book. So
I was reading this last night and I'm enjoying it a lot more than the first book. It's not as basic. There is some things like the powers of the 2 twins that we meet on the boat are kind of confusing because 1 minute they're heart renderers and then the next minute they have big powers of healers. Then at one point they are squallers. So I'm a little confused, like what are they? The Wikipedia page says they're both heart renderers. Then I'm like, how can they heal people though? Because the healers are a different type of pressure. I also am completely confused as to why people like Darkling and want him to end up with Alina, because he's a bloody psychopath. Like, I was like, after the first book, I was like, okay, maybe he redeems himself, maybe he ends up becoming the good guy and saving everyone, but he literally tortures her in the first, 100 pages of this book. He talks constantly about how he wants to kill her and how he wants to kill Mal. Like, how is he redeeming at all? You'll need therapy if you think this is what a good man is like. So while I was taking forever to read Ancillary Justice, I also decided to read Lumberjanes Volume 1 on script. I've heard a lot of people talk about how great it is and like it's a great graphic novel and it's one of the best of all time and all that. So I had high expectations. I was very disappointed. Nothing happens. It was so boring. It's marketed as a YA. It seems not even middle grade, but early readers. Literally nothing happens. Nothing is explained at all. All the characters are completely indistinguishable from one another. It's so boring. Another thing that pissed me off is the books are marketed as LGBT books. And I do know for certain that the next and later volumes do have specific queer and LGBT and trans characters. But this volume? No. There was no talk at all about sexuality or gender, and yet the author decided to market it as an LGBT book, despite the fact that it has nothing to do with LGBT in the book. Like, I get if you could market the entire series as that, seeing as you do later have characters who are that, or have it so that characters later come out. But in the first volume, I don't think it's fair for you to market it as an LGBT book when that's not in it at all. So a parcel has arrived. My mum says it's not a book, but I'm fairly certain it is because it says a book depository. I think this is going to be the one that's for Chris's birthday, so Chris, if you're watching, don't. I really don't know why Victoria Street always sends these wine vouchers. Does anyone actually ever use those? So yeah, this is Chris's birthday. It's The Witcher. Well, The Last Witch. The Last Wish. I can't pronounce his name. It's got like the gaming cover on it, not the Netflix cover. I haven't yet seen any copy of this that has a nice cover. Like, they're all pretty darn ugly. But we are planning on doing a video series about the books versus the games versus the TV show. So Chris has got the games, we've watched the TV show, but he hasn't read the books yet, so I thought I'd get this for him for his birthday.
According to Goodreads, I haven't read this book since December, and I'm just before halfway. I don't remember anything that just happened. Well, I remember some of it. I don't remember maybe that much of it. So I'm gonna have to go back and figure out what happened. So this is the Owlcrate Junior Special Edition Bridge of Souls book by VE Schwab. I'm not sure if this is how the junior box normally looks, or if they've just done all this illustration because it's a special edition. But let's get into it. So the inside's also different. It's kind of gone for the red and black look that the book has. So we've got a very little spoiler card by the looks of it, which has the Spotify playlist and the photo challenge on the side. I'm going to take this thing first, which is probably a poster. This isn't really my style, I don't particularly like this, but I suppose this is for a children's box instead. This is middle grade. Next thing I see is probably the main item, which is the blanket. It's very, very soft. It's a pretty small blanket, and it seems to have the tarot card design on it. It's got two crossing swords with some mountains in the background, but it is very soft. This is really nice. All their blankets are really nice. So the next thing I see is this little item here, which appears to be a lip balm. Big Easy, I'm not sure what that says. French Quarter New Orleans vegan lip balm. Then we've got this little velvet packet, which I'm thinking is going to have a pocket mirror in it. Yep, it's got a mirror. Oh, that's nice and matte and soft feeling. It says look and listen, see and know this is who you are. So that's what the main character has to say to the ghosts to help them move on to the afterlife. Which he also has to use a mirror to do that as well. Bridge of Souls trading card set, okay. I used to love trading cards at home, when I had the top trumps cards. Can't bloody open this. So we've got Renee, Philippa, Michael, Professor Lucas Dumont, Laura Chowdhury, Jacob Elias Hale, the Inspectors, Grimm, the Semery of Death, and Cassidy Blake. These are pretty cute, frankly. And then on the back it's got the images of each of the characters. Next I see a bookmark. It's like a laminated bookmark with a tassel, and it has a skeleton on it. I'm assuming this must be the ephemerate of Death Guy. And on the back it says, "We have found you and we will return you to the dark." So I'm assuming this must be the villain of this book. It's very nice. It's a bit bent, unfortunately. I do like it. Just wish they would have put it on something that wasn't just like a laminated piece of paper. So next we've got the pin, and it is really nice design. It's quite large. It says the Society of the Black Cat. Then we have this very thick envelope, which I'm thinking is going to have one of those wooden prints inside it. It's definitely wood. And yeah, it does actually. It says, "Do not enter Seance in Session, Hotel Kardec." I'm assuming this must be the hotel that they go to in the book that her parents investigates for being haunted. This is very nice. It's also very much in the style of another VE Schwab wooden print that Owlcrate did last year. I wish they had done this the other way, so that was at the back though, and so it came up on that way, so it didn't cover the design. But it's very nice. I'm not sure where I'm going to put it, because like, I feel like if I put it on my front door, it's going to give off the wrong impression. And the last thing in the box is the book. I'm not sure if this is actually, it does say, yeah, it says it's an exclusive edition. I'm not sure what the original cover looks like. I think it was red instead of grey. Then we've got the author letter. And the book, which is white on the back with a little skull embroidery, not embroidery, embossing. It is signed, but it doesn't really look like it's signed in the book. It looks like it's printed signature, which I hope that's not what it is. I hope it is actually properly signed. So this is the third book in VE Schwab's middle grade series about a little girl who can see ghosts, who travels the world with her parents, who are paranormal detectives or investigators. Her parents don't actually believe any of it, so she, as far as they are aware, they don't know that she can actually see ghosts. And so when she travels around them, she ends up getting in a bit of mischief and danger with the various ghosts in the different towns. So that was everything that was in this special edition box. So I really like the blanket. That's really nice. I really like the sign and the pin. But the trading cards, well, I do like them, but, well, I've got really no use for them, because I'm like, who are you going to trade them with? Because everyone's going to have the same cards. The poster I really don't like. The bookmark's quite nice. I just feel like it's badly made and quite cheap. So overall, I'm kind of about this box. Oh, and the lip balm. I like the lip balm. So I finished this. As I said earlier, it's a lot better than the first book. I'm kind of understanding why people don't like Mal, but at the same time, like, people said that it's because he's scared of her powers, but like, wouldn't you be? She holds his hand and she burns him without even realizing, like, trying to. Wouldn't you be scared of someone who doesn't have that control over the powers, that are capable of hurting people without even trying? And like, having someone who you've known your whole life, who's always been kind and stuff, and then over a matter of days switches and becomes quite very angry and very eager to hurt people. Like, you would be afraid of them. That's a normal reaction. But at the same time, he's still better than Darkling. Because people are like, oh, but the Darkling is hot. Mal's also described as being very hot. Mal is like, it's constantly talked about how every girl wants Mal. Whereas with the Darkling, it's like, because he's powerful, people want him. That's it. In the first book, it's kind of described as being attractive, but in this one, he's very much described as not being attractive. So that argument is stupid. Anyway, even if he was attractive, why does that excuse genocide? I do think Mal acted quite stupid and quite immature in terms of his anger and stuff, but so did Alina. And I'm like, okay, they are probably like, what are they supposed to be, like 18 years old? So I guess it's understandable this is YA after all, not adult. But it's just kind of annoying to always read it, though, where the conflicts in relationships, whether they be romantic or friendships, is always the fact that people just aren't talking to each other. They're just not. They're refusing to listen to each other, which is one thing that pissed me off, because Mal refuses to listen to Alina, for her to explain to him. When she's finally ready to explain to him, he refuses to listen and just walks away. And then the part where it's like, towards the end, where we see him doing something stupid, he insists that she has to listen to him explaining it. Where she walks off and he's like, no, you have to listen to me explain it. Like, it doesn't go two ways. You can't, like, refuse to let her explain it, but then insist that she has to listen to you explain it. In terms of the twins, at first I was liking them, but then at the very end, about who they were, which I felt was kind of obvious probably about halfway through the book. I wouldn't trust them from here on out if I was Alina. They completely lied about who they are and about where their allegiances lie. I also think the idea of people saying, oh, it's another book about, oh, what a plain, boring girl who's got a bunch of guys loving her. One, she was plain at the very beginning of these stories because she wasn't using her powers, so she was kind of being drained and always looking tired and exhausted, but as soon as she uses her powers, she comes into her beauty and she is beautiful. So that part's valid anyway. And two, okay, so we've got like 4 love interests. Mal's the only one that's actually legitimate though. The Darkling just wants it so he can use it to become the rule of the world. Nikai wants her for the same reason. Silly wants her for the same reason. Mal's the only one who actually cares about her and loves her. I feel like the Darkling could be like lying to himself and convincing himself that he does actually care about her, but like, if you care about someone and you love them, you wouldn't be torturing them, and you wouldn't be constantly talking to them about how much you want to kill them. So like, it's not a story about, oh, which one's she gonna pick? It's very fucking obvious. There's only one person who's actually legitimately an option. So as I said, seeing as I was enjoying Siege of Storm so much, I was like, I'm gonna immediately order Ruin and Rising. Seeing as the reason I'm reading these all now is because the TV show's coming out and I want to get through them all before I watch the TV show so I don't get spoiled for anything. So I'm pretty sure this is going to be Ruin and Rising. Yep, it is. So I hate the fact that there's this on this, but it's also the only hardcover that I could find. But otherwise I do quite like the covers. And I really like the foiled spines that are on these. I'm not going to read this straight away. I want to finish the 3 arcs that I need to finish before May, before I get into this. So I need to read that pretty quickly, because the TV show comes out in 2 weeks. The map looks different in every bloody book. It's really weird. So I'm not very far through this one. At the moment it's just kind of, it's okay. Like not the magic system. The parallel worlds do seem very interesting, but they're not very well explored so far. I feel like that would have a lot of potential. I went on Goodreads because I wanted to see if it's a duology or just a trilogy. It didn't say, but unfortunately when I was looking at it, it did end up spoiling myself as to who the bad guy is in this. However, I had already assumed that was probably going to be the bad guy because it's very obvious. Like, as soon as he's introduced, you're like, that's the bad guy. So I'm kind of hoping that's not going to be a major plot twist, and that's not what's going to be like the most exciting thing about this book, because I already know that. So I'm hoping there's going to be something a bit more interesting going on, and the story starts to pick up soon. But at the moment it's just kind of meh. So we've just finished decorating this room, so now I need to fill this bookcase and build this one.
first of all, I already said this one is taking me forever to read. And that's not because I don't like it. I really, really like it. It's because it's very dense. It's probably one of the best sci-fis I've ever read. The world is so well thought out, like to the tiniest little detail. But it makes it quite difficult to read. It takes a long time to read. It's also just more so the plot of it, because it's taking place over multiple timelines, and in which case one timeline we've got Breck, who is a single person, who is one individual, a normal individual, and then in another timeline before that they are an AI and they are a ship, and they have thousands of bodies and see thousands of different points of view. So, and the way they talk about themselves and the way they refer to each of their units can be quite confusing to figure out if there's actually, wait, is that person actually part of Breck? Are they actually the same consciousness, or is that just another ancillary? Like, some of them it's obvious because it's blatantly told you see points of view from that, like 1-esque, but then when you see like 2-esque, it's kind of like, is 2-esque also Breck? It's a little confusing. Another thing is that in this world, there isn't really, well, not in this world, but the empire that Breck works for is, they don't view gender as existing at all, really. And as a result, everyone is referred to by female pronouns all the time. And so Breck, when they later come in contact with other people who aren't directly involved with this empire, they find it very difficult to tell what gender people are. They actually just can't tell at all. They can't tell between males and females at all. And even when they meet someone and they've been confirmed with this person as a male, they just can't get it in their head that that's male, or like understand it at all, and they just refer to them the whole time as female. I'm not sure if the author doing this is just another part of the world building and just another like way to establish the culture of the empire, or if she's actually trying to say something about gender identities. And I'm kind of worried if she might be trying to say something about gender identities and how that might play out. But so far, I am thoroughly enjoying it. It's just taking a bloody long time to read. So that was everything for this week's video. If you want to check out our website, Twitter, Instagram, all that, Patreon and Discord, that will be down in the description. There'll also be Book Depository affiliate links to all the books that were mentioned in this blog if you want to check them out yourself. We will get 5% commission off of every purchase from those links. We post videos every Friday with bonus content on Wednesdays, and so we will see you next week with a video from Chris.